today we're going to be changing the left rear strut on a 2005 Pontiac Sunfire. I am pretty sure that about 2005, which is the last year of the Pontiac Sunfire, back to I'm sure about 98 or 99, should be the same procedure, but we'll go ahead and get started. I've already got this car jacked up and supported with the jack stand. First thing you want to do is pull off the hubcap, and you've got to be gentle with these because they're held on with plastic nuts, so very fragile. I wouldn't recommend most people taking them off with the impact, but I've done enough of them to where I can do it safely. And for the sake of the compressor being loud and running all the time, I am not going to show me taking all 5 lugs off of this. Alright, I went ahead and spun the 5 lug nuts off, so tires off. And since I've already got the 3/4 socket on the impact handy, this nut is a metric, but 3/4 is close enough to fit it, so I don't feel like going and getting a socket for it. So go ahead and spin this one out. Alright. So anyways, pull the bolt out on the bottom of the strut so it's loose. You can see from there. On this one you've got 2 10mm bolts that go up through the bottom. I removed them, and on the top you've got a 1 stud with a 13mm nut. So, and they're about impossible to see, so you kind of just have to feel for them. Alright, so anyways, there's like I say, there's 2 10mm bolts that go up through the bottom to hold the strut on. Let's go ahead and spin them out. And luckily this car is one of the easiest ones to remove and to replace the strut in. And actually we're going to compress the spring and remove it, and just be replacing the shock in the center of it. So I guess technically we will be rebuilding the strut. And, gotta look for 2 of those up in through the bottom. Alright, so anyways, got both of those bolts out. And now we will move to the top and remove the 1 stud. Alright, so here we are at the top of the strut tower. So, just pull the carpet back. Nothing really holding it on. And, you can it's kind of dark, not really good lighting, but you can see the 1 stud with the 1 nut on it. So, that's a 13mm. So, just break it loose. And I'm going to swap out for a ratchet wrench. Speed things up a little bit. Alright, so now we've got that nut out of the way, so let's lay it up here. Just, bring down a little bit on your suspension here, and it'll just slide right out. Like I say, very simple, easy design. And now we'll go over to the strut spring compressor and rebuild this one. Alright, so here we have the strut. On top of the strut that actually holds the, under this is the nut. This little rubber piece right here actually seals the bottom of the strut against the trunk and the top of the strut tower. So whenever you're in water or whatever, it just seals the outside elements from getting into the car. So, let's take this off. Try not to forget to put that back on. I always do. Some of these you can put on while the strut's back in the car, some you can't. So, and I've got strut spring compressor. So, and they're real straightforward and easy to use. So, just hook them onto one end to the lower coil of the spring, and the other end to the top. And this one right here, I'm actually putting them on where the nut is at the bottom, so I'll have more room to compress them, because I'm actually going to compress the spring with a drill, cordless drill, to make things quicker. And they got a little pin, so you just pull the pin back, put it in there, and then lock it over the coil. And the same with the top. So you want to try to keep them fairly even, which is kind of hard to do sometimes, but not too bad. And they do like to jump out. And turn the backing plate to try to make it to where the stud won't hit. It'll have a clear shot past it. I may have to reposition this, but I'll let you know. Alright, so we've got the strut spring compressed. You don't have to be compressed all the way. Just enough where there's a little bit of slack in it. And next thing we want to do is take this nut off. On the shock itself, there is a squared, the top of it's kind of squared off, so you can actually grab it with either vice grips or adjustable wrench, either one, to keep the whole stud from turning as you break the nut loose. So. Alright, so the nut's a 15mm on this particular one, so I'm just going to put the wrench in there on the box stem and hold the stud here with the adjustable wrench. And just break that nut loose. And it's a lock nut, so after after you back it off a few threads, it will actually free up and come out by hand. So just go ahead and take the nut off. And on this one, there'll be a washer on top. So then you have your whole, I'm gonna call it a backing plate on this one. So you'll take the backing plate off, and that'll allow your whole spring to slide off. Then you got your little cover that holds the supports on the bottom of the backing plate, and also holds the dust cover on the strut, which this one doesn't look like it's doing a whole lot. This is usually froze on there a little bit, so if you tap it, it'll come right off. Alrighty, and the other strut actually was really bad on this car. This one's not in the best of shape, because you can tell. Push it down fairly easy. So I'll get the new strut and we'll put it back together. So we've got a new strut. This one too, I think it's a packaging thing more than anything. It's why they do this. But whenever you get it, you notice that the shock is actually in a down position. And on this particular one, you have to turn it. I think it's 90 degrees to unlock it. So you just just like you're putting a nut on, you grab it with a pair of crescent wrench or whatever, and turn it until it releases. Then you'll notice it come up, and that just unlocks it. So you wait for it to slowly come up, or help it, and then you'll put this back on. So first you'll put your dust boot back on. Now, on these struts, you'll notice that there's a step right there. So if you look at the coil, the bottom of the coil, where it ends, that bottom of that coil needs to butt up right against the bottom of this. So I'll show you that. Now you'll see right here, so make sure that just butts up against that, because you don't want that on top of it, or you'll have a different ride height and all kinds of mess. So on top of that, just put your plate back on there. And it's not really necessary, but what I like to do is, if you look at the plate itself, you can kind of see where the spring, the end of the spring, just like that coil rode, you can see it ended right there. So, I like to, like I say, you don't have to, but just for good measure, I like to put it back exactly where it came from. Same position, so. So then you got your washer. You'll put it back on top, and they'll supply, this one with the new lock nuts. So put that back on there, and just like we took it off, put it back on the same way. Hold it with a crescent wrench or vice grips, where we got, and a 15mm, and snug it back down pretty tight. I don't know the specific torque specifications on this nut, but alright. So now we're going to slowly back the strut spring compressors off. A little bit on each one at a time. You don't want to back one off completely. And like I say, right now this can still turn very easily. So as you're backing it off, just make sure that this the bottom of the spring stays butted up to that step right there. Pull your pins back out. And simple as that, double check, make sure that that's still lined up. And, on your top, put your, your little seal, your little cap back on. It just presses down in there. Now we'll go back over to the car and put it in. Alright, so we've got the, strut reassembled, so, put it back in just like it came out. If you want to, if you got somebody to hold this up for you, makes it easier. So if you can have somebody hold it up while you start the nut on top, it's a little bit easier. But where it's just me, I'm going to push the strut up and take the 10mm bolts and just try to feel my way around until I eventually get these to where they'll hold themselves up. So, alright, so I went ahead and tightened up the two 10mm bolts in here. So now we'll come to the bottom side of our suspension and raise it up and stick the bolt back through. And tighten it up. If I can remember it, I will try to get torque specs of all the bolts and nuts and post it. And then we'll go from there. We'll tighten this bolt up, and then we'll go to the top, and I'll show you how to finish it up. Alright, so now all you're left with is the nut on the top of the strut tower. So let's go ahead and tighten it down. And where this is kind of hard to get to, I kind of like to use the old mechanics trick of compounding 2 wrenches to get more leverage on it. Now that's tight, you just flip your carpet back up, and you want to come around here to this side. I've already buttoned this end up, double check the torque on the lug nuts, and then whenever we come back, I'll show you how to put the plastic hubcap on, and which is fairly simple, but most people over torque the plastic nuts on them and break them. So I'll show you how to a little trick to do that, and we'll go from there. All right, so we've got our plastic hubcap. So if you look, you notice it's got a notch cut out on one of the rings, so that'll actually go in the valve stem. So just put that right there, and trick I like to do is whenever I'm tightening these up, just pull them up a little bit at a time so you don't actually break the plastic hubcap. The hubcap's just for looks anyway, so it's just decorative. What I like to do is actually just take the socket itself and snug each one up, because that'll ensure that you won't strip out the little plastic caps. And that's pretty much it. Alright guys, that's pretty much it on that. Just a simple strut job on the 2005 Pontiac Sunfire. This is my first video. I've been a mechanic for over 20 years. Do everything from small gas lawnmower engines to race engines, diesel, rotary, electrical. I can go on for a while, but just leave in the comments section what you think, and if you have any questions or anything you want me to do or review or anything like that, and then I'll try to make some more videos and see what you guys think. Thanks for watching.